Hey, Matthew Brenner here from Action Karate. I'm with Mr. Nichols. Say what's up.
Hey, how's it going, team?
Hey, so Mr. Nichols, tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, where you're from. Tell us more about you.
All right, so the name's Shawn Nichols. I am a Marine Corps veteran. I graduated from Drexel University with a degree in mechanical engineering, and I'm 35 years old. I am the head instructor of Action Karate North Wales.
Awesome, awesome. So obviously you have military experience, right? You're in the Marine Corps. So how long were you in the Marine Corps for? How long did you serve?
5 years.
5 years.
So I did
Okay.
my first initial year of schooling and then 4 years active duty after that.
Okay, awesome. So, what made you decide that, or tell us a little about your story, like your path, like being in the military, right? And then somehow joining, action karate, and then we'll get to the instructor part later, but just talk about now what you're like, how that happened, right? How did you go from military Marine guy to karate guy?
Well, I've always had an infatuation with the martial arts. So when I was 7 or 8 years old, I was down in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, which is a small town north of Tulsa. And my mom got one of those like 4 free weeks of karate. And I just remember, I think like the first day we were doing spinning back knuckles. And we're like, this is the coolest thing ever. And every time I did a spinning back knuckle, just hearing that thump on the pad. Sadly, at the time, my mom, I don't know if it was because I had anger issues when I was a kid, because I was a very, very angry young gentleman, or if we just didn't have the money, but she didn't pursue the karate, so the martial arts. So, like, I always had an inkling to do it. And then when I got to high school and middle school, we had wrestling, and I was like, oh, you versus somebody else. And it's very martial arts style, right? And like that was before like I knew the whole history of wrestling, like the first Olympic sport and all of that. And I consider personally wrestling a martial art because it's a series of moves and it's really one-on-one, you versus somebody else, you're 100% versus their 100%. And so I replaced martial arts with that. And then when I joined the Marine Corps, they shortly before I joined, they introduced a belt system called McMAP, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, and I got all the way up to my brown belt in that. One of my regrets in life is not getting my black belt in that. But I also, like, while they were doing that, every time there was a new class taking up, they were testing for their gray belts, they were testing for their green belts, I would be helping out, right? So I'd be help teaching the new techniques, I'd be grappling with them, I'd be doing the knife fighting, the bayonet fighting, all that stuff with them, right? So I just had a love and passion for martial arts. And funny, your brother, Mr. Brenner, or Mr. B, brought me to my first class. So Miss Felicia was working at Action Karate Festival at the time, and Big Bad Marine walk in, and Mr. B's like, hey, congratulations, you're taking your first class. Do you want to teach us how to do an armbar? And I was like, what? Like, typical Mr. B fashion. So I taught the class how to do an armbar. The next time I was home on leave for like 7 days, I earned my white belt, and then every time I would come home, your brother would get me right back into class. Miss Felicia would get me right back into class. So I just slowly started progressing through the belt cycle every time I was home on leave. And then when I got out of the Marine Corps, I tried to do physical fitness on my own, try to do things on my own, and nothing really hit. So I was like, you know what? Miss Felicia, Mr. B, they're giving me this.
Hold on a sec, hold on a sec. Tell us who Miss Felicia is for anyone who.
Oh, sorry. For those of you that don't know, Miss Felicia is my wife. She has been with Action Karate since 1997. She likes to say she's the seventh student that Action Karate ever had. And little fun story, she's going to probably kill me for telling it, but if you ever see her, ask her about her black belt test where she had to carry around one of those big, like, Saved by the Bell telephones, like Zach Morris. Like, hey, how's it going? Because if she talked one more time, she was going to have to speed dial mom and dad, and she was going to fail her black belt test.
Okay,
So,
so you're in the Marine Corps, right? And were you dating her while you're in the Marine Corps?
yes. So we got married. So I got through boot camp. I got through my training. So that's about the first 6 months. We got married in June of 2007. So I probably was in about a year and a half, right, at that point. And I had gotten stationed out in California, out in the middle of the desert, and it wasn't like a bring your spouse stationing. It was like, hey, she was going to stay in San Diego by herself, and I had just gotten out there, so she didn't know anybody, she didn't know anything, so she moved back here. And when she moved back here, Mr. B and Miss Jackie offered her the position of working at Action Karate Festival. So really, we kind of both started at the same time, right? So I started my Marine Corps journey. She started her action karate teaching journey. And then
So
she stayed with
I
them.
have a question. So why, sorry to interrupt you, but I want to know. So why didn't you join sooner? Right? Like you knew her, she was involved in martial arts, and for her, she did since she was a little kid. She decided to make it into a career. But like obviously you could have joined sooner, but you waited till later. So why didn't you do it at that time?
Honestly, I didn't know like it was an option. Like for me, it was always I was supposed to graduate high school, go to college, get a degree, and then I'd be done with it. Like then life would proceed. So we had gotten out of high school, and I was working 80 hours a week at different jobs. I was a cook in a restaurant. I worked at Petco, and for some reason, I didn't make time for myself, right? So now as an adult, I know that if I'm going to take care of my family, if I'm going to take care of myself or take care of my wife, take care of my son, I need to take care of myself first. If I'm sick and I'm not doing well and I'm just not mentally prepared, I can't possibly take care of my family without taking care of myself. And I didn't know that at the time, right? It was just work, 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 work. And then I got tired of working and I joined the Marine Corps like immediately after that.
Okay. So you're in the Marine Corps, and like tell us about that experience. Did you like it? Like what? Tell us about your experience in the Marine Corps.
So I'm a little bit of a rebel. Like I'll be 100% honest, right? So like, I always loved the people in the Marine Corps, right? I love the camaraderie. I love the family. I love the brotherhood, right? The things that you would tell each other, right? And like nobody judged you. I'm sure you guys have seen videos on like TikTok and stuff of Marines just doing ridiculously silly stuff, right? And I loved all of that. What I didn't love was the kind of just the babysitting, right? It's just always somebody's always there, like looking over your shoulder, making sure you're doing the right thing, just not treating you like an adult. And I just wasn't all about that. But I did love all of my brothers and sisters in the Marine Corps.
Okay, great. So why did you go? Obviously, you're like a big bad Marine Corps guy, right? Now, not only you're in the Marine Corps, but you're also helping with the martial arts program that they have within the Marine Corps, right? Being a student and also helping with that. So you get out of the Marine Corps. Yeah, your wife is in karate. I don't know, was she your wife at the time?
Yes, she was. Yes, sir.
Okay, so your wife was involved in karate, but maybe you weren't a part of it. So what made you decide, like then, oh yeah, I'm gonna jump into a karate class with my wife after being in the Marines and kind of doing like all this hardcore training?
Well, first off, I think she wanted to punish me for not doing the dishes, right? So she would constantly like, come to class, come to class. And she would love to throw me into like Thursday night bag workout. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I started school, and I kind of, like I said, I wasn't putting myself first right when I got out. So I had gained like 30 pounds after I'd gotten out of the Marine Corps just from like going to school, sitting around, not pushing myself. And I was like, you know what? I need to get back in shape. So I went back to karate, and I really started working back on my physical health and my physical fitness.
Cool. So part of it was also to get in shape. Like you're sitting out too much. Okay. And is that, I know you can't really generalize, but is that common for people that come out of the military when you're a very disciplined, structured setting, and then if there's time in between? Does that happen often? I honestly don't know. I'm just curious.
And definitely, right? So like every week for 5 years, right, I had to get a haircut and a shave. Like I couldn't come into work with any bit of stubble on my face or any bit of hair, right? Your uniform's always pressed. Your uniform's always looking snazzy and looking snappy. And like it's just constantly for 5 years. When you get over that 5 years, it's kind of like, well, nobody's telling me I have to do this anymore. So you know what? I'm just going to relax, right? I no longer have to do this. I'm going to take some time to kind of relax. And then after the end of that, you're like, I took too much time to relax, right? Like that structure, that discipline was there. So I need to reverse this negative trend. So time to get right back into shape.
So what strategies or techniques do you feel like in the Marine Corps that we incorporate in our martial arts program for kids and adults that you feel like overlaps and is helpful?
Just the slow foundation of knowledge, right? So like, I tell my new students this all the time. You don't have to remember every single thing from your very first class, right? You learn one thing that very first class. And then that next class, you learn one more thing, and you learn another thing. And eventually, you learn thousands of things, and that's how we build the base of knowledge. Same thing with like the Marine Corps Martial Arts program. Same thing with pretty much everything they do in the military. they break it down into the simplest parts that you can, right? Like A plus B equals C, right? 2 plus 2 equals 4. And then you slowly build up after that. So I feel like we do the same thing in karate and action. We build up on the basics and we slowly just improve, improve, improve. And over that 3-year journey, you turn into that black belt. You're not a black belt the first time you step on the mat. Nobody expects it of you. Over those 3 years, you expect it of yourself.
Mm. Okay, great. I think that's really cool. So building up step by steps, that to you was one of the most important features of action karate, or just what you're training with us, is that you're able to do little things over time and not feel like overwhelmed.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, cool. So now, if we like fast forward a little bit, um, you left your Marine Corps, you were out of shape, you joined karate. So what were the results? Like, what was the outcome?
So I did, well, this is one of the times that I'm not the proudest of my life. I tore my ACL after about 6 months of getting back into karate. And personally, I know this would happen. I use it as an excuse not to get back in, right? So like, I was scared to get back to doing jump roundhouse kicks. I was scared of like testing the knee. So, and this is one of the stories I tell my students all the time is they're like, oh, I need a test now. I need a test now. Test when you're ready. It took me 8 years to get a 3-year black belt because I took that time off in between to heal my knee and then to get back into it, right? So it wasn't just like I tore my ACL and I came right back. It was, hey, I tore my ACL, took that time off, and then I realized heading down that same bad path, I got right back into it, got myself back into shape.
Okay, got it. So how much weight did you lose? I know you said you put on a lot of weight. That
So
body
I'll,
transformation.
ever since I wrestled, I've always had an issue with my weight. So I fluctuate, so I go up and down. But at my heaviest before I became a full-time instructor, I was 262 pounds. So I lost about 60, 70 pounds.
Wow, that's amazing. And of course, everyone's like weight fluctuates over time, right? But you're in a way better spot now than you were before you.
Oh, 100%.
So one of the reasons people prosper in the military, and especially the Marine Corps, is that discipline, right, and that structure. So how do you see that in our karate program? Like, how do you see those same things?
Right. So we don't use the same verbiage, right? So we're not kid friendly in the Marine Corps, but things like eyes on you, right? So we snap the kids to our attention. We use those focus anchors, right? We talk about those life skills. So in the military, every Friday before you go out for the weekend, your commanding officer sits you down, your CO sits you down, somebody sits you down and says, hey, this is what you're going to be. This is what's happening over the weekend. This is a holiday weekend. This is what normally happens to everybody else. Learn from everybody else. Learn from these stories to become a better Marine, right? To become a better student, to become a better person. And we do that same thing every single week, right? We have the lessons of the week where we tell them like, hey, these people made these mistakes, or these people made these successes. Learn from them, grow yourself, be better. Don't make the same mistakes of everybody else. Here's a lesson on how to avoid that. So we're teaching them those life skills just like we were happening in the Marine Corps, but a little friendlier.
Okay, cool. That's beautiful. I didn't know they did that in the Marine Corps. So I guess they have to avoid people kind of going crazy on the weekends or holiday weekends and stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Traps, right? People could fall into.
Yeah, especially payday.
What'd you say?
Especially payday.
Especially payday. Okay. So where do you think you'd be right now if you didn't join karate after the Marine Corps and you're sitting home doing your thing and relaxing, like you said? So like, where do you think you'd be now?
Man, I'd probably be like 300 pounds, sitting in an office job, just not living to my full potential, right? So like I said, I was always taught when I was growing up, go to college, go to high school, go to college. I'm only the second person in my entire family to graduate college. Go get a degree, find that career path, and then you'll be happy. So I found that career path. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm working for a multi-billion-dollar company. And I found myself, whenever I was at karate, my focus was at karate 24/7. So even when I was sitting at my desk at work, my focus was on karate. Like, oh, I need to teach class tonight, right? I want to help out the white belts. I want to help out the brown belts. I want to get in that senior black belt program. So I'm sitting behind my desk, supposed to be working on drawing, supposed to be working on manufacturing. And I'm just like, hey, how can I make karate class better? And I got presented an amazing opportunity. And I was like, you know what? This is not for me. I'm not an office person. I have so much respect for people that do. but I need to do something where I feel like I am valuable and I'm helping out my community. So I made the transfer to teaching karate. And so if I wasn't doing karate at all, like I said, I'd probably be sitting behind a desk, 300 pounds, surrounded by Star Wars stuff.
Mm. Okay. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. And obviously, we're very fortunate to have you not only as a student like you were for a while, but now like on our team, right? To help guide us use those same principles you learned in the Marine Corps and other skills that you bring to the table. That helps us not only shape our students, but kind of like shape our curriculum too, right? Make sure we're always doing the right thing. And I know that whenever we do something that's good, you always point it out. Whenever we do something that's like, hey, this could be better, you're not shy to point that out either, right? I think that's what makes all of us better because we have so many cool people like you on our team. So, what would you say to someone who's maybe like on the fence, like they're watching this and they're like, yeah, I don't know if karate is right for me or my child. Like, what would you say to someone like that?
So for that, it's all really, for me, what martial arts is, right? So I can only speak from what martial arts is and what I try to teach upon my students and teach upon my school is. It's a mastery of oneself, right? So like I've always, like I said, I've always done wrestling. I've always done like mixed martial arts and things like that. I've done grappling. I've done cage fighting. I've done all of that stuff. But it's really about, especially with karate, about mastering yourself, right? If I go to do this kick, how is my body going to function? My body might not function the same way your body functions when I go to do a side kick, right? I might not be able to do a front high kick, right? Because maybe I have a hip injury or something like that. Learning that over your time period in the martial arts, that's what it's all about, right? It's all about, this is how my body reacts. If I get attacked, I know I can do this, and I can defend myself in this manner. Whereas if I didn't have that martial arts experience, if I didn't have that, I would be like, oh man, I don't know what to do. I'd be completely lost. So when I talk to people, especially that first time, like, don't worry about trying to keep up with that black belt in class, right? Don't look at that yellow belt and say, hell, I can never be that person. Realize that over the next 3 years, you are going to learn to be the best version of you. You're going to master yourself, and you're going to become a black belt. And whatever that black belt means to you, right? This is your black belt journey. So start it. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with learning. Grow, become better, and you'll be amazed where it can take you.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on here today, sharing your journey, sharing your story.
Of
And you're
course.
awesome, sir. Asa.
Asa. Bye.